Now at 10 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, 3 people were sent to the hospital after a 2-vehicle crash near Sam Houston Drive.
A suspect now in custody after an attempted vehicle burglary in Victoria around 3 p.m. today.
And small businesses in Victoria can apply for a $2,000 grant to help them recover from issues caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
We're on the warm side. We're also on the windy side. We'll talk all about that. But first, here's Zach.
We got some basketball here in the Crossroads. We'll have scores and highlights coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. New at 10, one man is dead and another hurt after Houston police say they were intentionally hit by a vehicle this Tuesday afternoon. Police responded to reports of a hit and run in southwest Houston around 1:45 p.m. A dirt bike was seen on its side in the middle of the road. Officers said 2 men were hit by a blue SUV and were transported to a nearby hospital. One of the men was pronounced dead at the hospital, and the condition of the second man is currently unknown.
At around 5 p.m. today, a 2-vehicle crash in the 1700 block of Larry Lane near Sam Houston Drive sent a family of 3 to Detar North Hospital. Police say a man, his pregnant wife, and a baby have minor injuries. Authorities say the young man driving the white sedan ran a red light, hitting the tan vehicle the family was in.
Victoria police report 34-year-old Christopher Ortiz is in custody charged with vehicle burglary. Around 3 p.m. today near the 4000 block of Port Lavaca Drive, witnesses reported a man trying to break into a vehicle. One witness chased the suspect down a road until officers arrived and detained the suspect.
Refugio County Sheriff's deputies stopped an 18-wheel truck and trailer on U.S. Highway 77 about 1/2 mile north of Refugio for a traffic violation last Friday. Deputies then found in the truck and trailer over $519,000. That money was taken and placed into evidence. 2 suspects are charged with money laundering first-degree felony. The Warden Police Department reports Reginald Craig Efron II is wanted for deadly conduct for his involvement in a shots fired call that occurred on February 15th within the Wharton city limits, where numerous spent rounds were discovered. This taking place in the area of Branch and Martin Luther King Boulevard. Should you know where Efron is, tip safely via p3tips.com.
And a threat in Virginia coming from a student who attends the same Newport News school where a 6-year-old student shot his teacher just a few weeks ago.
The threat was made in a group chat of 5th graders and revealed to authorities after one student shared the text with a parent.
Just 2 weeks after returning to school and some sense of normalcy, the Rich Neck community was rattled with news of another threat. In a letter to families on Monday, Karen Lynch, the school's extended learning supervisor, said a group of 5th graders was texting Saturday when one of them said they would, quote, pop some bullets and tell someone to shoot up the class. An unsettling revelation for students, teachers, and parents after the January 6th shooting of 1st grade teacher Abby Warner at the alleged hands of her own student.
What is wrong with this child? It just sparks up a lot more of anxiety all over again.
A student shared the text with a parent who immediately notified school officials. The Newport News School District and Police Department are both actively investigating. However, the incident is creating even more mental health concerns for a community already in distress.
Those are all going to stir up emotions in our children.
Dr. Anjali Ferguson is a child psychologist specializing in trauma-informed care. She says copycat threats are common after a highly publicized event.
The reason for that is a bit unclear. It's really individually driven. But when it comes to children, sometimes their lack of understanding of these incidents and why they took place can create some of these effects.
Whether children are using humor, seeking attention, or projecting their own fears, Ferguson says it's important for parents to talk openly with their children and monitor the information they're taking in, especially on social media.
It's better that we as adults kind of gatekeep and manage and monitor how they're receiving this information and processing those feelings than leaving them to their own devices to figure it out.
Ferguson says it's a long road to recovery, and while every threat should be taken seriously and investigated, she says holding space for healing is important.
The superintendent of a Central Texas school district resigns after a third-grade student found his gun unattended in a school bathroom. Robbie Studeville resigned after backlash over the district's handling of the January incident in which the student discovered the gun in a bathroom at an elementary school in Rising Star, located 150 miles southwest of Dallas. News of the incident had many parents expressing their frustration during a board meeting last Thursday.
We're taking it very seriously. It is under investigation. When that investigation is concluded, the information and the facts, and not rumors, will be turned over to the district attorney's office.
The interim superintendent said he and Studeville carried weapons on campus because of school shootings occurring across the country. And they both went through a week-long training, including how to use a firearm and how to de-escalate a situation. The long pause on federal student loan payments is set to end later this year. Millions of former students will have to begin or resume paying student debt bills in just a few months. The pause on payments began under former President Trump in March of 2020 at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Then President Biden continued it. Right now, it's possible student loan repayments won't restart until at least August. And with that, let's take a look at your weather with First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Howie Gordon.
Thanks, Karina. Okay, another warm one today. Temperatures warming into the 80s. We're going to go there and maybe even beyond for tomorrow. On the coast, around 70 and pretty much across the area, yeah, within about 70, 71, 72 degrees. We got a nice warm flow of air out of the Gulf. Sunshine helped us out as well. But hey, we're looking at these winds that surge out of the Gulf. We're seeing wind advisories in some spots with winds gusting to 40 miles per hour. This should have expired, but they're hanging on as these winds are on the stronger side. We'll be in the 60s this evening, overnight, dropping to 66. Again, looking at clouds and a little bit of fog, mostly on the coast. We're going to get really warm. We'll talk more about that coming up. Karina, Don?
Howie, thank you. A border security roundtable discussion hosted by Governor Greg Abbott in the Rio Grande Valley Tuesday. At the news conference, Governor Abbott said Texas may add more border wall by 2024 than Donald Trump did in 4 years as president. State authorities and law enforcement discussed Texas' ongoing strategies to secure the southern border. More details on the toxic train derailment in Ohio. The EPA and the governor of Ohio met with residents in East Palestine today as they try to help them move forward.
Also, a health clinic opens up for people in this community after toxic chemicals were released into the air and Ohio River.
People in East Palestine, Ohio, taking their concerns right to the top.
There's so much uncertainty about it, and that really gets to me emotionally. We need to feel that we're safe.
Caroline Brown speaking with the governor of Ohio and the EPA administrator in her kitchen, asking a question that's been on the minds of many after complaints of skin, eye, and throat irritation.
So it's safe to drink the water?
Water's safe.
I haven't even brushed my teeth with it.
No.
In an attempt to provide some reassurance, officials sipping water from her tap, saying tests have proven it's okay to drink and that the air is also safe.
We know things are right now, and we just need to make sure that in the future they're all right.
A long road to recovery that's only just begun, more than 2 weeks after the fiery train crash that spread toxic chemicals. The Biden administration calling for new regulations, including increased inspections on routes trains use to transport toxic chemicals.
We are pushing forward a 3-part drive on rail safety. Things that we're doing at the Department of Transportation to raise the bar, things that we need help from Congress to do in order to hold rail companies accountable, and things that this industry needs to do differently.
The EPA ordering the train company Norfolk Southern to conduct all necessary actions associated with the derailment. The company's CEO vowing to do what it takes to make things right, including paying for the cleanup and putting $1 million into a recovery fund for residents. A health clinic opened to the public on Tuesday where people can ask experts their medical questions. It's staffed with members of the Ohio Department of Health, the CDC, and HHS. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The COVID-19 pandemic has affected a number of businesses. Now, some of those business owners can apply for grant money. There's a workshop next Monday to educate travel, tourism, hospitality, and nonprofits on grant funds. The governor's office has $180 million in COVID-19 relief funds. A single business can get up to $20,000.
We encourage anybody to come out, whether they are in the travel and tourism industry or not. Chances are they know somebody who is. And this is a really unique opportunity that the governor's office has available that we are asking anybody in the travel, tourism, and hospitality industries to take advantage of.
The Texas Tourism Industry Recovery Program workshop takes place on Monday, February 27th, starting at 12 noon inside the UHV Small Business Development Center at 1604 East Airline. Businesses do need to register. There is no charge for the workshop. Come to crossroadstoday.com for that link.
And with that, here's your Veer poll tonight. Scan the QR code on your screen to participate live. The question for tonight is, do you know a business that closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic? We take a look at those numbers, and 51% say yes and 49% say no. That's a close call for tonight. Well, thank you for voting. Remember, come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate in all our daily Veer polls.
Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. Miami-Dade authorities respond to a massive fire at a welding business. It killed 2 people and hurt 3 others.
Also ahead, the Supreme Court is hearing back-to-back arguments possibly reshaping the future of the internet.
News Center 25 at 6 and 10 is also heard on KVNN 1340 AM, Victoria's News Network. Stay up to date with what's happening in the Crossroads by downloading the Crossroads Today mobile app. You'll get instant alerts to your phone or tablet the minute breaking news or weather happens. Only the free Crossroads Today mobile app features weather updates for local sports. The Crossroads Today app gives you the ability to stream our daily newscasts when you're on the go and share pictures or tips straight to our newsroom and so much more. Brought to you locally by Prosperity Bank with 12 locations serving the Crossroads area.
This is Ford Truck Month, Texas. Time to get up and get into Ford F-150, part of F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 46 years straight. All amped up and ready for work or play. Plus, there's a great selection in stock and ready for delivery today. So get into Ford Truck Month, Texas, and see what a built Ford tough truck can do for you. Drive Ford F-150 with 0.9% for 60 months, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days, plus complimentary maintenance.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
People who have just won Academy Awards have outer-body experiences. I've been offered vacations. People have invited me to become cast members of their movies.
Did they follow through?
Never!
Coming March 13th, Live returns to the Oscar stage for Live's After Oscar show.
It's gonna be a good time.
And next Live, Tay Diggs and Shark Tank's Damon John.
His dog had my dog's paw in his mouth.
A questionable attack through a fence.
The 60-pound dog can't get under here.
It is what I saw.
But did this neighbor...
And then you went over to the defendant's house.
...shatter all boundaries.
Knocked on my front door, was extremely agitated. We got into a pushing match. He went to his car, not to his house, so I knew that something's wrong. That's when my neighbor saw him get a gun out.
Next, Judge Judy.
Two people were killed and 3 others were hurt after an explosion and a massive fire at a Medley welding business this Tuesday morning. The fire appeared to be contained to one business, but several cars looked destroyed as crews worked to extinguish the flames. The fire was out by 10 a.m. Fire rescue crews say 2 people died at the scene. 2 others were taken to a local trauma center. A 3rd person was also treated at the scene. Investigators are now currently investigating the cause.
A U.S. jury convicts a former Mexican presidential cabinet member of taking massive bribes to protect the drug cartels he was tasked with combating. A federal court jury in New York reached a verdict in the drug trafficking case against Genaro Garcia Luna. He denies the allegations. His lawyers claim the charges were based on lies from criminals seeking sentencing breaks for themselves by helping prosecutors.
A Tennessee judge set bonds for 2 men facing charges in a deadly weekend mass shooting in Memphis. 11 people were shot, 1 person died, and 5 others are in critical condition. 21-year-old Ladarius Marion is facing murder charges and is being held on an $800,000 bond. His attorney claims there were many gunshots at the live entertainment lounge, and if camera video exists, it will release Ladarius from guilt.
He's unfortunately had some loss in his life, family loss. His parents recently passed away within a short period of time of each other. He was in the National Guard. He had some grief issues and caused him to need to get out of the National Guard. He's just a regular guy, nice person, no record.
Also, 21-year-old Julius Freeman is facing facilitation to commit murder charges. He's held on a $150,000 bond. Police are still looking for a 3rd suspect in the shooting. President Biden delivering a rally cry for Ukraine, declaring in Poland that, quote, Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia.
Biden's speech pushed back against Russian President Vladimir Putin as Russia steps back from a historic arms treaty with the United States.
There should be no doubt. Our support for Ukraine will not waver. NATO will not be divided, and we will not tire.
President Joe Biden delivering a defiant declaration at the Royal Castle in Warsaw, a promise of resilience that neighboring Ukraine will not fall.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
The president called for steadiness of purpose, days before the 1st anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
President Putin ordered his tanks to roll into Ukraine. He thought we would roll over. He was wrong.
Biden last spoke from the storied setting in March of 2022, when the resolve of Ukraine and the strengthening of the NATO alliance were only beginning to emerge. The resolve underscored by President Biden's historic trip to Kyiv, standing side by side with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday. While in Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin framed the contours of the conflict as an existential battle with the West.
The elite of the West do not conceal their ambitions, which is to strategically defeat Russia, finish us off once and for all.
Putin announcing Russia is suspending its participation in the New START treaty, the last major nuclear arms agreement between the U.S. and Russia. Back in Poland, the president focused on future generations and what remains at stake.
Freedom, the enemy of the tyrant, and the hope of the brave and the truth of the ages. Freedom.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments today in a Google liability case centering around the spread of videos promoting violent Islamic ideology. The case stems from the death of an American college student who was killed in the 2015 Paris terror attacks. At issue is whether there are limits to the liability shield for internet companies known as Section 230, and if the liability shield applies to situations in which platforms actively recommend content to users using algorithms.
Windy times in the Crossroads. We'll talk all about it straight ahead.
It would appear that the butler did it. But this isn't a whodunit film. It's a Nissan sales event in it. Now that's a killer deal. Good thing this Rogue has a VC turbo engine, unlike RAV4.
Get 0% financing for 36 months on select models.
Catch these offers while you can.
Are you ready to stop letting big business take your customers away? Phase 3 Digital is your #1 digital marketing resource to keep your customers shopping with you. With an office right here in the Crossroads and a team of support across the nation, we can help you wherever your business is in the online journey. From building a site to developing e-commerce capabilities to growing your customer base, we will drive results. It is time to take the next step in growing your business with Phase 3 Digital. Are you ready to take your customers back? Give us a call or visit us online to get started.
Have you been told you have to live with your wound? There is hope at PAM Outpatient Wound Care.
At PAM Outpatient Wound Care Clinic, you'll find the latest technology and the most committed and caring professionals dedicated to your wound healing. Our experienced wound healing experts and multidisciplinary team specialize in preventing amputation and preserving limbs.
I began hyperbarics here. I'm walking and have the leg, which is the best part.
Come see us at PAM Outpatient Wound Care, where healing starts here.
No one makes catering easier than Ventura's Tamales. Need a quick pickup for a lunch meeting? Ventura's Tamales. Need a full-service buffet for a business luncheon? Ventura's Tamales. Need an anxiety-free wedding reception? Ventura's Tamales. Get it? When you think catering, think Ventura's Tamales. Let us do the cooking. Learn more at venturastamales.com. Ventura's Tamales. Unwrap the flavor.
My ex just posted a picture with a girl.
That girl is Hidayah Mozart.
She's not.
I know.
I hear that really opens up the palate.
All February, the stars have aligned on Kelly. You were flying around like Patrick Swayze just off something. Ow, my knees hurt right now just watching that. We both made music before and after having kids. Do you think anything changed?
I worry so much. I was so fun. I was so fun.
And next, Kelly, Carrie Russell and O'Shea Jackson Jr. from Cocaine Bear. Greatest title of a movie ever.
All right, we'll start off in Cuero. Yeah, clouds starting to build. See that warm moisture push in from the Gulf. We saw some sunshine earlier today. A combination of that sun and that warm air out of the Gulf. Yeah, doing a nice job for us. Look at that, 83 degrees for our high, almost 15 degrees above average. We've been as warm as 89 back in 1909. So yes, our temperature is starting to warm as we head into spring. We have a wind advisory that was in place until 9. It's still going in portions of the viewing area. Even where they don't have the wind advisory, wind's still on the strong side. We'll touch on those in just a second. We'll go right to temperatures. So on the water at around 70, get away from the water around 70. Our average high this time of year is 70, so here we are above average at this time of night. That warm air continues to push in from the Gulf. Now, a couple days ago, these got knocked down with frontal passage. Now, the warm air pushing up. Yes, keeping these around 70, very unreasonable, uncomfortable. Now, we have a boundary push through tomorrow. It might start to knock these down, but then just like that, we'll see a return flow out of the Gulf again, and we'll have these numbers going back up. What does that mean? Okay, the moisture's there for the fog, but we are a little bit windy today, excessively windy. So it's going to hold the fog really for the most part along the coast. Some spots dropped out a little bit inland, but it's going to be held to the coast. Now, when the winds start to die down, maybe Wednesday night into Thursday morning, then we'll see this fog return to a good portion of the viewing area. Not that we want it, but yeah, that's likely to happen again. Here's our winds. 25, 30, 35, even 40 mile per hour wind gusts. We got strong moving upper level winds. We got that rush of air out of the Gulf, out of the southeast, and combine all that, we got wind advisories and strong winds. Again, these winds can blow around unsecured objects, sometimes making it tricky to drive. So please be safe out there with these winds whipping around. All right, there's our boundary that's headed our way sometime tomorrow. Here it comes. Now, a lot of times they go, oh, here comes that cold front, all that cool air. No, 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 no. This front, this dry boundary is bringing warm, dry air from the west, and that is going to push temperatures in some spots away from the water into the 90s. We could make it into the 90s in the crossroads, definitely mid to upper 80s as that warm, dry air pushes in. The boundary is going to come down. It's going to dry out the atmosphere, but I told you, just like that, a return flow with a warm front out of the south, out of the southeast, that's going to spike those dew point numbers up again. And yeah, that could trigger a few showers along the coast. Here's our future tracker. So that first boundary comes through, maybe spikes up a shower or two. Then that warm front pushes up out of the Gulf. Could bring us some rain, but this doesn't look too active overall. Nothing too steady, nothing too persistent and consistent. Small craft advisory again, seas occasionally at 13 feet. So yes, be careful on the waterway. 60s this evening, only dropping down to 66. We're going to see winds gusting away to 35 miles per hour. Then for tomorrow, look at that, 87 degrees. Some spots can warm up into the 90s. And here we go, pretty much 80s plus for much of the week in Cuero. And in Port Lavaca, yeah, very similar. Look at this. Temperatures 80 plus for a good portion of the week. Okay, right back here, that cold front comes through, or the dry line comes through, excuse me. We warm up close to 90. It does knock us down a little bit eventually, but hey, knock down to 80 into 77. Hey, I'll take that. Look at those lows in the 60s. For more weather, news, and sports, you can go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com. That is free with any Android and iPhone. And now we go to sports with Zach.
Thank you, Howie. A former Victoria West star has an update on his battle with a brain tumor coming up in sports.
Chevy Silverado factory lifted trucks. With the capability of a 2-inch lift, the versatility of the available multi-flex tailgate, and the connection of a 13.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. Chevy Silverado, taking adventure to a whole new level.
Get 2.99% financing for 5 years on all 2023 Silverado 1500 pickups, or get $1,750 total cash allowance on this Silverado with a 2.7-liter engine. Plus, current competitive owners get an additional $750 cash allowance.
An authentic taste of Italy, Joe's Pizza and Pasta prepares handmade, fresh-to-order meals daily. Call us to book a reservation or to cater your event and give your guest an unforgettable experience with the finest Italian food the Crossroads has to offer. Treat yourself and your guests to favorites like our lobster and shrimp ravioli, chicken fettuccine alfredo, and veal piccata. For your authentic taste of Italy, visit Joe's Pizza and Pasta. We are now hiring for various positions. Contact us today to join the team.
Hello, neighbor. Before you buy a home,
before you sell a home,
before you make any home improvements, call USA Foundation Repair.
A thorough and honest inspection is what you get from USA Foundation Repair.
We work with realtors and contractors on the front line every day doing inspections and repairs. Don't get taken to the train station. Get the USA Foundation Repair brand of approval. Call us today for an honest inspection.
People who have just won Academy Awards have outer-body experiences. I've been offered vacations. People have invited me to become cast members of their movies.
Did they follow through?
Never!
Coming March 13th, Live returns to the Oscar stage for Live's After Oscar show.
It's gonna be a good time.
And next Live, Tay Diggs and Shark Tank's Damon John.
Drivers.
When I got to the accident scene, I found out that my son had passed away.
And their need.
You hit 100, right? Yeah, I hit 100.
For speed. The fact that you would endorse your son doing that is shocking to me.
Driving 100 miles an hour plus, if you know what you're doing, is not going to be a problem.
Here's what a crash at 56 miles per hour looks like.
It's reckless driving, and it's reckless thinking.
New Dr. Phil.
Good evening, Crossroads. Former Victoria West basketball star Omar Posada shocked his former teammates and coaches when they learned he had a brain tumor. We caught up with him this morning for an update on his story. The West Warriors have been battling on the hardwood all year, but an underlying story to their season is former teammate Omar Posada, who has been battling a brain tumor, something that shook the basketball program as they found out about it right before the first game of their season.
Omar calls me, but he doesn't usually call me when he knows we're playing. So I answered because I knew something was wrong. And since that day, it was just a real shock to us. Brought some emotion, some tears as I found out.
Speaking of emotion, Omar was surprised and taken back when he saw the players wearing his name during their warm-ups. They donned the word family on the back of their game jerseys, and he's felt every last bit of it. Those around him rave about his character, and when the news about the tumor broke, his first concern was his mother.
I just saw my mom's face, and I just felt sad, like just for her to see like her kid probably has 5 to 15 years left. It was pretty sad to see that, but I was pretty calm overall because you never know.
That optimistic attitude uplifts those around him and eventually brought him news that everyone was glad to hear.
Apparently after surgery, he came out to talk to my family and said the tumor in my head was smaller than the picture realized. And he said it's probably going to be some good news coming in the following weeks, and it was. They said I have a couple of decades left, 4 to 5 I assume. They didn't say a full life, but 4 to 5 is better than 5 to 15.
His tumor is now considered benign, but he will have to have continuous MRIs every 3 months for the first 5 years to make sure it isn't growing back at an alarming rate. He's dealing with memory loss issues after the brain surgery and will need to protect his head from injury. He's getting a helmet that'll help with that possibly by tomorrow, as he's eager to get back to enjoying sports. And Victoria West fell in the first round of the postseason, but the Edna Cowboys did just enough to get by. Head coach screaming for one more stop. Well, they got a few more stops and nailed some clutch free throws to overcome a double-digit second-half deficit led by Kevin Robinson. Final score, Edna 65, Marion 57. The second game in Yoakum saw Industrial take on Nixon Smiley. Both teams in the first quarter started off back and forth. Some flashy passes from Nixon Smiley, but in the end, Industrial just couldn't do enough to get out of this round alive. They fall to Nixon Smiley 45-38. The West basketball boys may have lost, but the soccer boys pulled through versus Ray. Brandon Garay with 2 goals and assist apiece from Ashton Richter and Juan Arellano as a penalty kick as they win 3-2. And on the night, Shiner falls. And Don, you told me this was also El Campo's first playoff win in nearly 2 decades, which I just found hard to believe. That's such a good sports program up there.
All right, thank you so much, Zach, and go Ricebirds. All right, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, a family dog is rescued from a construction hole in Maryland.
When it comes from McAdams, it shows you care. The freshest flowers, the prettiest plants, balloons and gift baskets too. It beautifully unique is what you seek. Making lasting impressions is what we do. Always the very best value for you. When it comes from McAdams, it shows you care.
Tired of your typical clock in, clock out job? You need a rewarding career in an entertaining environment that you'll enjoy. Take yourself out of the box and come to the Victoria Television Group. We have an active, fun, creative atmosphere that can help you succeed and keep those everyday work blues away. Come join our energetic and outgoing sales team. Renew your career and learn to use skills you didn't know you had. Call us 361-575-2500 or email opportunity@victoriatelevision.com for more information.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
USA Foundation Repair, in conjunction with 25 News Now, brings you our Pledge of Allegiance every weekday morning. It's your time to reflect and celebrate our greatness as a country, to be a patriot, and to give thanks for living in the best country in the world. And it all began when you recite our pledge. Brought to you by USA Foundation Repair and 25 News Now.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
United Airlines has updated its seat map tool to help seat children under 12 years next to an adult in their party. The tool will make preferred seats in economy available without an additional fee. In cases where side-by-side seats are not available, customers will be able to switch another flight to their destination with adjacent seats in the same cabin for free. The new approach is expected by early March. It's also available to customers who book basic economy tickets.
Another Mardi Gras tradition those outside of Louisiana may not be aware of is the Chicken Run. Revelers in Basile came fully dressed in costume while taking part in the town's traditional Chicken Run this morning. Cajun Mardi Gras, held in many Cajun and Creole communities of French Louisiana, involves the Chicken Run, an annual tradition involving costumed revelers who travel the countryside begging and gathering ingredients for a big communal pot of gumbo. Ooh. Now that smells good, looks good. The gumbo, my goodness.
Oh, that chicken. So the chicken is...
Oh, well, we'll talk later. Now, what about fog, Howie? I'd rather have gumbo myself.
Fog or gumbo? Yeah, we're going to... Gumbo sounds better, but yeah, we'll some fog. Most of it's going to stay along the coast down, but it can return tomorrow. We'll address that tomorrow night. But winds, yeah, we're gusting away still. Doesn't seem to be letting up too much. 60s this evening. We'll be at 66 overnight. Cloudy, breezy, some more fog, of course, on the coast. 87 for tomorrow. But here is what we have for Cuero. Yeah, a warm week. Port Lavaca Victoria, 80s all week with tomorrow maybe hitting 90. Don, Karina.
Thank you. How a crew saved a dog who was stuck in a hole in his family's backyard in Maryland Monday evening. Montgomery County Fire and Rescue were called to the scene around 9 p.m. to rescue the animal. Authorities say the 13-year-old dog named Sammy was walking in the backyard when he fell into the construction hole and got stuck. Sammy was reunited with his family. Well, thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Remember, we're streaming 24/7 on Crossroads Today Plus.
Join Catalina Australian meteorologist Trey Mining for 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night.